Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancabano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we are here at beautiful Hudson Hall in Jersey City, New Jersey, located at 364 Marin Boulevard. And we're super excited to be joined by none other than our MMA industry insider, and that's Matt Davies. Matt, what's going on, my man?
Man, it's good to be here again. It's been a while.
It has been a while, and it's, if you probably remember Matt, he did, of course, our PFL championship at the Madison Square Garden Theater in New York City on New Year's Eve. And what a fight night that was. Kayla Harrison, correct?
Yep, she won the main event there, and it was it was a good night all around, and it was good to welcome you guys to MMA.
That's it. That's it. And Matt hopefully will be joining us for months to come because, as we all know, sports. Well, first of all, actually, Matt, we're here at Hudson Hall for a reason. I reached out to you earlier this week, and you said we have to do this at Hudson Hall. Why so big on Hudson Hall besides the very cool ambiance in here?
Well, it's the #1 spot for fights in Jersey City and Hoboken. If you're sitting at home on the weekend and you're looking for someone to come and watch them, once everything's back open and operating again, this is absolutely the place to be. There's plenty of big screens. It's always a good atmosphere. The food's good and the beer's better.
That's what I like to hear, and the beer is better. And trust me, I'm going to be like digging in. Of course, it's only takeout only, but once they open up for these fights. And folks, as you know, the four major sports are so cliche, so antiquated saying this. The four major sports are still on hiatus. I mean, MLB can't get their act together, and nobody else can really get their act together, it seems like. But MMA has been going on since probably a month into the pandemic with fights every weekend. Down in Florida, correct?
In Florida, yeah. So in Jacksonville, they started up in early May, and they held 3 events down in Jacksonville, and they went relatively smoothly. There was, out of 1,100 tests they did across 300 fighters, staff, and teams, they had 1 fighter and his 2 cornermen tested positive. And he also wasn't a fighter that traveled from interstate either. He was a Florida-based fighter. So it's been going pretty well.
Now, Matt, one of the things that, and of course, the audience knows, and you know, that MMA is not really my forte. One of the things that confused me a little bit about the fights every weekend was, were they separating it by division, by weight division, or were they doing just a mix of cards? Or what was the rationale behind doing the 3 different shows, I guess, down in Jacksonville in terms of fight cards?
Yeah, so each card now with the UFC, it's generally made up of all different weight classes. They try to strike some sort of balance between males and females, and generally the lower ranked fighters start out the cards through to the higher ranked or championship fights at the end of the cards. So it was a big mix. The one thing they've been doing recently here in the US, and they'll continue to do through June and early July, is the US cards have to have US based fighters on them.
Interesting.
As they can't bring fighters in from overseas.
And why is that, I guess?
Well, because of the travel restrictions, of course. If unless you've got a green card or you're a citizen of the US, you can't really enter the country from many places. I know, being from Australia, if I left, I can leave, that's fine. I can't come back again until all this is over.
Oh my God. So Matt, if you want to get back in the octagon, I mean, what do you have to do? Or what does an international fighter have to do?
Well, because I'm already here and have my work permits, I'm a way to go. I can
fight
here.
There you go, okay.
However, if I was in Australia looking to fight, this is where it gets kind of crazy. We'd have to go to Fight Island.
Interesting. Where's that?
It's about 20 minutes outside of Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, yeah.
It's called.
I was there. I was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi last year. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, it's called Yas Island, which I still think they should have a women's title fight there for the crown of Yas Queen, for sure. It has to happen. But it's where they have Ferrari World is there. There's a lot of theme parks and things like that on this island.
Warner Brothers World,
and
all that, right?
Yeah, a lot of that sort of stuff. But the UFC and the local government there have actually sectioned off a 10 square mile area where they've built a small stadium, dining halls, gymnasium, things like that, where so the fighters and the athletes, the corners, the staff, everyone can stay happy, stay fed, stay healthy, and get ready to fight without having to leave the compound.
That's unbelievable. So, folks, you know that your country's rich with oil, like the UAE is, when they can do something like this for 10 months. So, and did you say that they were going to have a show there coming up?
Yeah, so from the start of July, they're going to have four shows in 14 days. So I think it's the 11th, July 11, 15, 18, and then 25.
And these are all international fighters. They're not. Can American fighters go there?
There will be some American fighters going over there. But mostly it's for the international title holders and things like that. So the Australian fighter Alex Volkanovski, who's the current featherweight champion, He'll be heading over there from Australia, and Max Holloway will be heading from Hawaii over there to try and get his title back.
I guess not that far if you think about it. It's still, it was 13 hours from Jersey when I went over there. But so Matt, that's actually a question that I had for you because I've always wondering this. What would you say the percentage is between American fighters in mixed martial arts compared to international fighters right now?
Well, I mean, globally, it's all pretty even. But when it comes to the UFC, it's very heavily US-based dominance.
Okay.
Because it has to be. The UFC it's a company. It's an entertainment company.
Right.
It's not like the WBC that you'll see in boxing that will oversee events and things like that. It's the company that runs the events. It's a US-based company, so of course most of its events are in the US. Therefore, for cost reasons and popularity reasons, most of the fighters come from the US as well.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And now you spoke about the UFC. The UFC is really the big boys in town. You know what I mean? Like we're cable access. You know, we know NBC, CBS, and ABC. But, you know, we work our tails off. My team does, you know. And I'm sure that there are other subsets of MMA. Are they going to start coming back as well? Because I really feel like that the UFC's been dominating their fights every week during the pandemic. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like most things in other businesses as well, the bigger companies like the UFC and stuff like that, they set the precedent on how things move forward. So now that they've held their shows in Florida, they've already Titan FC, which is a smaller show that still has a lot of great fighters. They've actually had a lot of, they're sort of like a feeder show. There's been a lot of fighters from Titan FC have gone on to have great success in the UFC.
Right.
They had their first show a couple of weeks ago, and I think they're already starting to plan their second one.
Fantastic.
And the end of this month in June is actually the BKFC, which is the bare knuckle boxing.
Bare knuckle boxing.
Which is kind of crazy, but it's getting really big again. And they're having a show down in Tampa.
So bare knuckle boxing, explain this to me, because I did read about it a little bit. Is it boxing or is it mixed martial arts?
So it is boxing.
Okay.
But unlike traditional boxing, obviously you don't have gloves on, and there are some small rule changes, like you can clinch, so you can grab the head and pull, you can hold on to things and things like that. Whereas in boxing, if you grab the guy by the back of the head and throw an uppercut, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Yeah, you're going to get that 10 count. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
The big difference with the no gloves too is it tends to be a little bit more brutal because without gloves, bare knuckles, people cut very easily.
So there's no like kneeing. Look at me, I'm getting in the mood here, Matt. I don't know what I'm doing here. There's no like kneeing or kicking involved.
No, nothing like that. It is just straight boxing with a few slight rule changes, and but no gloves. That's the big thing.
That is scary, and I'll tell you why. Because that is literally just fist to flash.
It definitely takes a different kind of human to do those.
And body shots are allowed?
Absolutely, yeah. Nothing below the belt, though.
Of course. Yeah. Unbelievable. So, Matt, is there anything that you're looking forward to in the next few weeks in terms of any fights that are coming up? So on and so forth, whether it's for bare knuckle fighting or UFC?
Yeah, of course. The biggest card on Fight Island is definitely the one that I'm looking forward to, with 3 title fights with Petr Yan and Jose Aldo fight for the vacant bantamweight title. And then, of course, the other Australian, Alex Volkanovski, fighting Max Holloway in a rematch after Volkanovski beat Holloway to claim that featherweight title. Oh, so there's some really good things coming up, and it's just going to be good to see a lot of these international fighters getting their go again, because everyone's been sitting around waiting, and the UFC being the first to bring it back. I mean, it's been a lot of conjecture, and of course there's risks with everything, but yeah, it's very exciting at the moment.
That's great. Well, Matt Davies joining us, and we're going to put his little Instagram handle here if you don't mind. I mean, because he's constantly updating that with different information about the MMA. Thank you for joining us, our MMA
thanks for having me.
Insider here. And Matt, we hope to see you in the next few weeks.
Let's do it.
Let's do it is right. All right, Matt, thanks again. Folks, when we come back, Pete Oneglia of Insider NJ makes his debut. You're not going to want to miss it. We will be back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of The Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at The Pulse with Peter B, and make sure you like and follow us on there. We're constantly updating that page with new information. And also on Instagram, for all you grammars out there, make sure you follow us there as well. We're constantly putting these really cool stories, previewing all of our episodes. And if you don't want to DM us through our Instagram or message us through our Facebook, you can always email us. And that's at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back to The Pulse. I'm Pete Oneglia, the general manager and co-founder of Insider NJ. I'm here with Josh, a familiar face. And let's jump right in, Josh. Let me start with a question for you. Governor Murphy, okay, public health hero or unconstitutional authoritarian dictator?
Definitely the latter, but I'd also add general villain. Like,
Okay.
even if the Constitution didn't exist, and I'm so glad that it does, despite his repeat violations of it, but even if it didn't exist, he's still a villain. When we look at the preventable deaths in our long-term care facilities, it was his administration that required elderly people to be accepted back into there, even if they had subacute cases of COVID, furthering the spread, or likely furthering the spread of COVID amongst a particularly vulnerable population. So even constitutional issues aside, which are huge, all right, no, they're not small fries at all, but even those aside, he's been a horrible governor, and he's directly responsible for at least some number of preventable deaths. And eventually, I think the voters of New Jersey will realize that once everyone is calmed down and we're able to Monday morning quarterback and review and play the tape again and look at what steps the state took. I mean, it's ridiculous that we live in a state where we can find, the governor can push for tens of millions of dollars for illegal aliens, but we couldn't find any money to rent any sort of facilities for these elderly Americans, elderly New Jerseyans that had subacute cases that were being discharged from the hospital. Instead, he required that they be sent back to the long-term care facilities.
Okay, well, constitutional issues aside, when we talk about violations, not specifically the governor's supposed violations, but we have seen over this past couple of weeks, probably even the past month and a half or so, Republicans especially, and more than a few Democrats, become more and more fed up, incensed, in some cases enraged at the slow pace of the reopening. Now, the governor says, and he said it today during his briefing, frankly, any sort of electoral considerations are not being factored into what he's doing. It's all about public health. But now you see a lot of businesses holding rallies, some of them breaking social distancing guidelines. You see Black Lives Matter protests. Most of them seem to be in compliance, but I'm sure there are violations to go around. What do you say to the governor when they're putting out photos of the governor in close proximity to people breaking his own violations?
I say
violating his own executive orders.
Yeah, I say he's a hypocrite. I mean, it's something people that are Republican, people that are even centrist Democrats, and many independents knew for a long time, that this was a guy from New England who bought the Democratic nomination, and then who bought the governor's mansion just by sprinkling his money around. And it's no shock that he doesn't care either about constitutional values, like when he said that the Bill of Rights is above his pay grade. Actually, you swore an oath to uphold our constitutional protections, and it's no shock that he thinks there's a different set of rules for people in his strata and a different set of rules for everybody else. So I mean, I think with his failure in the long-term care facilities and his failure to lead the state by example are going to come to bite him in the ass, because the people want to hold him accountable. And it's not just protesters. Like, I love all protesters. I don't even care if I disagree with what you're protesting about. The fact is that the lifeblood of a democracy is that people should be able to express themselves freely, peacefully, without fear of the government coming and saying, here's a fine, if you don't pay it, you're going to go to jail. And that's what his administration has done to protests that he didn't like. But protests that he does like, he goes out to and violates his own orders. I mean, I don't know if there's another word, maybe another word other than hypocrite for it, but I'd be curious.
Depends on which Democrat you ask, I suppose. I mean, there's no roadmap here, right?
Well, I mean, I think you don't need a roadmap not to be a hypocrite. You don't need a roadmap not to be a demagogue. You don't need a roadmap not to act like you're the dictator of a state. It's basic decency that he lacks, and he demagogues the issue repeatedly over and over, as if people's concerns about our basic freedoms, about their livelihood, about their long-term health, after COVID is something behind us, because we know from data that when societies go into poverty, the general health, the public health suffers. And, he's just been completely dismissive of all of that. It's really like a sort of out of touch situation where there's it's like the French nobility, right? That's how he acts. So like French nobility before the revolution there.
Okay, but him and many others would argue that states that have reopened too quickly are starting to see spikes in cases, whereas really over the past couple of weeks we've been trending downwards, as the governor often says, and when you look at the data, it's moving in the right direction. Isn't that proof that the shutdown orders are in fact working?
So correlation isn't causation, but even assuming that the shutdown orders, have some
Well, the
level,
numbers don't just drop because of
I mean, that's
something else. They're more than likely.
that's not true. There have been other viral outbreaks that the pathogen has a life cycle that it goes through, and this could be one of those. We don't know, and we have to acknowledge that we don't know what we don't know. But the governor thinks he has all the answers, when in reality he had no answer when it comes to dealing with long-term care facilities, and no answer when it comes to protecting our freedoms. He had no answer for why it's okay for big box stores to be open, but smaller stores, the cornerstone of our economy, can't also follow social distancing protocol
So you
and
don't think
remain
he's
open.
relying on science?
No, I think this is what he wants to do on any given day, and also part of his political crusade, to advance his own agenda. I think in the beginning his heart may have been in a good place, and then he got addicted to the power. I think he's like a junkie. He had his first taste and now he can't give it up. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to negatively affect New Jersey and all New Jerseyans. And every day I'm talking to people, and there's more and more moderate or center Democrats, or even people that are out and out center left, that are just frustrated at him. And it's not because the situation, this wasn't a serious thing. Of course it was. But when we look at the numbers, whether in New Jersey in the past or in other states, it's important that we look at hospitalizations and ICU, because no one said COVID's going to go away for good. So we have to learn how to adapt as a society. And his version of adapting is Walmart can be open, but your small business has to be closed.
Okay, so when we talk about different versions of things and certain decisions being arbitrary, let's use this as an example because it's a big one for everybody. Parks, which was largely one of the first big decisions that he made, was closing all the state and county parks. But he allowed municipalities to make the determination if they wanted to keep their parks open. And he cited home rule, the tradition of home rule in New Jersey, which is a political consideration as any other. Should he have closed all the parks or left all of them open?
I think people would appreciate consistency, and that's something that, however you look at Murphy's record, you just can't find. You just find expediency and his personal whim at the moment. When he closed state parks, the curve had already started to crest. So it's like, wait, state parks weren't dangerous a couple of days ago, but now apparently they're dangerous. Outdoor space is dangerous, but transmission, which some studies have suggested happens 66% indoors, or around that number, don't quote me on that. Outdoor space is suddenly dangerous, but we're allowed and encouraged to get sunlight for vitamin D outside. So outdoor space is not dangerous if we're walking on the sidewalk, but it's dangerous if there's trees nearby. None of it made any sense from the get-go in terms of his closure of the parks or allowing municipalities to keep them open if they wanted to.
All right, we'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Make sure you watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. And also, every Sunday, 9:30 a.m., we post our new episode and our segments, our individual segments, on our YouTube page. You're not going to want to miss it. Please subscribe to our channel there. We'll see you there. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. And I want to thank Pete Oneglia, another great Pete, for joining us in our last segment from Insider NJ. Hopefully we'll have him on in the future. Of course, and we, to a lesser extent, thanking Josh. But anyway, this is our Places with Peter B segment. And Daria, of course, we're joined by Daria DeLucia of At Hoboken Eats.
I missed hearing you say my name like that.
I was going to
missed
say,
it.
and I'm sure you miss going to restaurants because we
do.
really haven't had food segments in a while.
Like 3 months it's been, right?
It's been a few months. You did join us via Skype, and
I
you
did.
spoke about,
I
different
did.
restaurants that we can get takeout, but that's old.
It's old news.
Right?
Thank God. It's old news. It's old news. Monday, big day. Very, very big day in New Jersey.
Monday, June 15th, big day. talk to me, Daria. You have been, and she has thousands of followers on Hoboken Eats, but you have been very, very busy recently with your stories of posting many different restaurants in Hoboken that are going to be providing outdoor seating.
And since the quarantine started, I've also tried to be myself, like many of the other foodies in Hoboken, trying to share or support local business, just trying to share as much as we can and get takeout as much as we can, because like businesses everywhere, this is our community and they're struggling. They've been closed. They can't have people inside. A lot of them closed down right when the quarantine started. So it was good that a lot stayed open for takeout and delivery, but it just wasn't working for some of them. So I'm very, very happy that, I'm trying to support as much as I can, that they're opening again for outdoor dining. So it's
excitement in the air.
Yeah,
exactly.
it is.
Now, and it's interesting you said that, because we interviewed Nick Bobolas last week. Sorry, Nick, from the Malibu Diner, and he's one of those people who are like creating his parking lot into a luau, right?
Amazing.
I mean, I know you featured him in one of your stories.
They have created. They put down. It looked like I want to say turf grass.
Yeah.
They have the picnic table set up with they're like palm tree plants. It looks amazing. Like I just want to go there and relax and bring my laptop there and work. It looks
he
like
does
an oasis
alcohol
to me.
too.
Say no more. Don't tell my employer.
Exactly.
It looks amazing, and like Malibu Diner, the Shepherd and the Knucklehead right down the
around
street.
The corner. Yeah.
They're actually coining it the Oasis. So they're creating their own type of thing, very similar. They have the plants out there, making it feel like islandy, tropical, nice outdoors. The tables outside, 6 feet apart. So it's exciting and it's cool too. I walked by Anthony David's the other day, and they're actually building like a wood platform out onto the street a little bit, so they can extend their room a little bit, so they can have more people outdoor dining.
And you hit the nail on the head. So the city of Hoboken is allowing people like Anthony David's to build out in the street. Of course, it's with a fee, but the fee's not that much, But I think that's very, very fair of the city to do that. And they're also allowing restaurants to also go into neighboring properties. So if there's a gym next to you, correct?
Yep.
Like I think Shepherd and Knucklehead's doing that.
It's right next. It's right next to a little fitness studio too, and it's nice because honestly, everybody misses them. Our community, we're the most bars and restaurants in a square mile or something crazy like that. So this is what Hoboken is, and this is what the surrounding towns are. So I'm personally very excited they're coming back. I basically want to go to every restaurant on Monday. I don't know how I'm going to pick and choose.
I've seen Daria eat before, by the way. She picks and nips.
I can try everything.
Everything. What was it, a year ago? We were at the State Fair in Jersey.
I ate it was basically almost exactly a year ago.
It was exactly. What was the gator that you had? Remember those gator nachos? Anyway, we'll get to that another time.
Yeah.
So Daria, continuing on. So now, of course, it's summertime.
Yes.
It is absolutely beautiful here on the 12th Street Pier, Maxwell Place Park here. And, there are different, do you think that restaurants, I should say, are going to be creating different type of entrees for outdoor seating? You and I were texting a little earlier today, and we're like, you're not going to have soup in 90-degree weather outside.
You're definitely not going to be doing that. And I think that, people going to the restaurants are going to need to bear with them a little bit. This is a whole new industry for them, for the restaurants. They've had to adjust from having their normal, for years, having people in their restaurant, outside their restaurant, and then they had to move to takeout and delivery only with following all of the guidelines required by the CDC. And now they're allowed to have, 6 feet apart outdoors. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different ballgame. So I ask everybody to bear with the restaurants while they go to them on Monday. And I think that they're not going to probably have too many specials. I think they're probably going to keep it to their basic menus. From what I'm seeing is I wouldn't go and order, super change the items too much. I would try and steer clear of that and just go get the food you love, enjoy being out at a restaurant, get some alcohol, get some drinks, and just have fun with it. But I think that people are going to be looking for if let's say you go to Sorlino, you're going to be looking for your pasta dishes. If you're going to the Shepherd and the Knucklehead, you're going to get your amazing burger. You know what I mean? You're going to go for those type of things.
Exactly. And they said, what do they say? Do what you know how to do because you do it right.
Exactly.
Correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think as the restaurants continue to adjust, they're going to maybe add more items to their menus, but I think for the time being, they're going to be banging out the things that they know how to do.
Exactly. Now, Daria, so let's say Monday comes. Why only Monday? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? They're open. They're hopefully here to stay.
Yes.
We hope the cases don't go up, folks. Still be safe out there. Wear
Yes.
your masks, social distance. Look what's going on in other states. Anyway, Monday comes or later on. Where are you going? What are you having? What are you drinking? That's what I want to know.
So I'm not going to lie. I already have a 4-person reservation at Sorlino on Monday.
4-person.
I have plans. Oh,
I don't think I got the invite.
Do you think Rayanne and Ralph, my mom and dad, would miss an opportunity to
it's
come
your
into
mom and dad.
Hoboken?
I can't go. I was going to say, and we love your mom and dad. Absolutely.
They've been on me. They're like, you better sure include us in whatever reservation you and Matt make. Wednesday, I'm going to Autostrada. I mean, it's Mother Nature hopefully can bear with us next week.
I was gonna say the weather
it's not
looks a
looking
little-
too good. So hopefully in that case, I already put my foot down. I said I'm going out to dinner every single night next week. So that's what I'm gonna do every single night. I want to get down by the water. I mean, you have House of Q, you have Union Hall. They're all
Ainsworth, right?
open.
Is that it?
Ainsworth, they're all
Yeah.
open. Everyone's open. And I don't know if you've gotten any to-go drinks in Hoboken lately.
Yes or no? You know, I don't like to consider myself. I did try that lemonade over at the Shep and Knucklehead.
I mean, first of all, it's about the size of
this microphone,
The
right?
microphone, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
My mom and I got a little sneaky buzz from Sorlina's cocktails.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a fun,
So
unexpected
what's a
Friday.
sneaky buzz?
So we each got one container of their cocktail,
Mm-hmm.
and I just thought, oh, it's just one. I have a glass of wine every so often. I'm not going to get a buzz. Me and my mom, we got sneaky drunk. Sneaky drunk when you're not expecting to get drunk and you don't want to get drunk, but then you get drunk. And then me and my mom now are taking a nap
It
before
sneaks
she
up on
drives
you, huh?
home. Yeah.
Oh God, she slept on your couch, huh?
She did.
I'm sure
We
Matt,
called-
you love that, right?
We called Matt. Hey, babe, can you get us some pizza, please?
That is great.
So it was one of those days. But yeah, I mean, 10th and Willow, we've been getting some drinks from. I live in the Uptown area, so 10th and Willow, Shepherd and the Knucklehead, Madison Bar and Grill, we've gotten drinks from. And then if you're not looking for any alcoholic drinks too, Anthony David's I went to the other day and got an amazing fresh squeezed lemonade. So
Is that true?
yeah,
Wow.
really good, really, really good.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, Darius. So I have to ask you this because we asked this whenever you review a restaurant, right? Now that the quarantine is lifted, I asked you this on a Skype interview as well. You know where I'm going. Look, she has the smile on her face. I might be seeing somebody new, Daria. I might be seeing somebody new. And I don't know, this person is a little special to me. Where am I taking her for some good outdoor dining here in Hoboken?
I'm gonna have to say that first of all, congratulations. I've been waiting for that
I
one.
said,
I've
you
been
know,
waiting
we
for
don't
that
know
one.
where it's going. You know what I'm saying? We're not you and Matt territory. You know what I'm saying? I know, it's like showing off the rock, folks. There it is.
I would say that you should probably take her to somewhere like an Autostrada. Take her off the beaten
Oh,
path. Take her off the
okay.
beaten path a little bit. It's going to be romantic. You're going to be outdoors. It's going to be light. Leo's.
Leo's is good. That's way off the beaten path.
Leo's
and that
is way
food
off
is
the
delicious.
beaten path. They've created a beautiful mural outside. They
That's
are
right.
decorating like a whole beautiful patio, and Leo's is a staple. So I would recommend places like that are going to be off the beaten path a little bit, really romantic, something nice, something nice.
I didn't want to go cheap and take her to M&P Biancomanos. You know what I'm saying?
He's got an in there. We can't do that.
There you go. Well, Daria DeLucia of At Hoboken Eats. We're going to have her on much more, folks. Trust me.
I'm back
now
finally. The
that
restaurants are back, so Daria's back.
Oh, Daria's back. And make sure you follow her at Hoboken Eats. At Hoboken Eats. Did I get that correct?
Yes.
There you go. I was just making sure. And we're so happy to see you again. And
to be here.
we look forward to hopefully having more fairs to go to and trying some unique foods.
Amazing. I can't wait.
That's what I like to hear. Well, folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. We will see you then. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of The Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at The Pulse with Peter B. and make sure you like and follow us on there. We're constantly updating that page with new information. And also on Instagram, for all you grammars out there, make sure you follow us there as well. We're constantly putting these really cool stories, previewing all of our episodes. And if you don't want to DM us through our Instagram or message us through our Facebook, you can always email us. And that's at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.